Welcome back to Hermitcraft Season 10. Today we're going to be working on the Mega Factory. I've been reading through the comments, I've been looking through the Hermitcraft subreddit, and a few people have been making some comparisons between this build and other things in popular culture. A lot of them seem to be SpongeBob related. Some people say that it looks like SpongeBob has failed to enter the space program. It looks like he's entered from orbit and gone into the ground, and those are his little legs standing up. That one made me giggle. Some people are saying it looks like Mr. Krabs. Some people are saying it looks like a snail. Look, okay, remember, these are the broad strokes. It's not going to stay like this. So to start things off today, let's get some storage silos on the go. And that is going to require some fairly big purchases. Oh yeah, my shop. So it turns out that the lawsuit is going to court. I thought I could ignore it, but no, I'm actually going to court now. We have a date of the 17th of December, and I've chosen Scar as my lawyer because, you see, I'm pretty busy, and as I was speaking to Scar, you know, I was like, oh, we're probably going to have to do some stuff before the court case, but I've got loads of things on my plate. And he said, don't worry, because I don't prepare for cases anyway, so you won't have to do anything before the court case. And that seemed perfect. That means I can focus on my Mega Factory. You know, Scar could do his own thing as well. I want to see what builds he's working on. And then when the court case comes around, we're gonna breeze it. Okay, I have what I think I will need to build one silo. So let's get all of that raw tuff swapped out for bricks. I think that looks better. And then I think I'm going to do tuff and sort of copper and mossy stone bricks for the bottom of the silo, almost like the bracket that is holding the storage silo. I think we can do something a little bit like this. This sort of impression that it's like a rusty corrugated iron. Maybe something like what I've got going on here. And then I'm going to cap it off once again with this. Nice. I think that looks cool. I think I'll add some pipes and extra bits down here. But for the time being, this is great. I think mushroom stems are going to be really important here. I think I should go and harvest some. So our basic gradient is going to go from bone blocks through to the mushroom blocks and then the concrete towards the top. And I need to remember to leave this gap out the front because that is where all of our chests and everything like that is going to be going, because these are going to be functional storage silos. So we've got something like this, and then that should be the height of the build, roughly. I mean, I haven't done any measurements or anything here, but we need to leave space for the pipes and also the cap on the storage silo. So yeah, probably is around about here. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that looks interesting. All right, I think it just needs some bands going around it. Putting the cap on it has definitely helped as well. And I'm going to be honest, I just got into my own head and started flowing through this build, forgot to talk. And this is what I've got. I've added some extra details on the edges. I've added some extra details on the top. I think this looks really, really cool. So let's not wait around. Let's build up the other 4. Now I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. I have run out of iron completely. Like, I don't have any iron blocks anywhere, so I'm going to have to AFK for that in a little bit. Each one of these storage silos uses about a stack of mushroom stems, a stack of bone blocks, and then a stack of white concrete, and then we have all of the extra bits. Oh my goodness, has anyone... No. Double no. I have returned to my little mushroom hole. This is where I shall stay for a while. So this should hopefully be everything that I need for all of the remaining builds. And I'm going to crack on with the builds in a second, but before I do, I just want to say, if you want to get to the vintage collection before Christmas, and you live in the USA, this is your final chance. Shameless self-promotion over, let's get to block placing. And everything went surprisingly smoothly. The only issues that I had were with recording the time-lapse itself. You see, I've switched time-lapse recording software. I'm now using Flashback, and that has a very useful feature in it where you can actually pause the time-lapse, which means you can run off and get resources and come back, unpause the time-lapse, and there won't be long periods of nothing happening. The only issue is, I occasionally forgot to unpause the time-lapse, which means that I've just like built a bunch of stuff in between the takes. So I do apologize for that. Other than that, though, everything has come together extremely well. These builds look so cool. You know, I was worrying a little bit about the front of our factory. Obviously, it is just a big wall, and I was thinking of ways that I could break it up, and I think I'm still going to do a few of them. But actually, I'm incredibly glad I didn't go ham on adding all of the details to this wall. If it was covered in graffiti and then ledges with moss and streaks going down the wall, genuinely, I think once we added in these storage silos, it would be too much. It would be way too much for your brain to focus on. Whereas right now, I would say we've got a good balance. So I think it's safe to say I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with those. They look awesome if I do say so myself. So now I'm going to get to work on actually connecting them into our factory. I feel like that's an important next step. What sort of blocks would be good for this? I mean, we could do copper and then have orangey blocks. Like we could have acacia or the warped stems, or we could use the copper trapdoors and then have a different sort of block going around the edge of the pipe. Maybe even like deep slate. We could bring the deep slate back. I am a very big fan of acacia trapdoors, and they do work with copper as well. And I feel like we could probably do with some orange or some other type of color in here, because I'm going to let all of this fully oxidize. So this is all going to be pretty tealy. That's going to be pretty tealy as well. I know we've got a lot of orange going on up here. Oh, I guess this is kind of red, but or orangey hues. But I feel like just a pure bright orange going into each one of these will be good. It will kind of look slightly like rusty pipes, and that's exactly what we want. That settles it. Rusty trapdoors, acacia trapdoors. I'm not sure if this is the most efficient way to build this, but it is incredibly satisfying actually traversing the pipe like an item. All right, let's have a look. Okay, that is really cool. Oh, I actually think that's gone pretty perfectly. Yeah, that is exactly the sort of vibe that I want. The fact that that's actually going to work as well, that's going to be a functioning pipe, that's where the items are actually going to be transferred, is incredibly exciting. And then I think just underneath here, just to clear up this like height discrepancy, we should probably have, I don't know, maybe some iron and other kind of supportive bits and pieces that run this down into this ledge here. I could even potentially make use... I don't know why I feel like this works. Why do I think that that is good? I'm honestly not sure. You know what though? It kind of works. It kind of looks cool. I feel like this needs to be a different type of block. I actually think maybe if we just add like the tiniest little gradient even to this. How does that feel? Oh, that actually feels better. Yeah, that feels better. Should we also connect this into this? It does feel like it's close enough to the roof that it feels like it should have some attachment to the roof. And I would say I'm right there. So here we have pipe number 2. Still looks cool. Especially now that I've added this little detail in here that kind of feels structural. It feels good. It's actually not that noticeable from afar. It's not too distracting, but it gives a little something to this blank face. So now we have pipe number 3 with all of the added detail bits. Pipe number 4 is done. And now pipe number 5 is done. Oh, that is painful to look at. Well, regardless, this looks super cool. Like, I feel like this has made at least a 70% improvement on the build just by adding this. The only thing that I would say is an issue, and it ties into this situation here, it's all very, very symmetrical. So far, we have got no deviance from symmetricalness, other than maybe, I guess, the tonality of these. But I think it's about time that we start introducing some wonkiness into this Minecraft build. Oh dear, I've run out of both food and rockets, and we are no sleeping because of the creaking. Oh gosh, and now I've got phantoms on me! Oh no, this is a disaster. Oh no! Please. Please, please, please. Let me out! No! Oh my goodness. Can we just take a moment to appreciate that zombie hit me out of my bed, causing me to stare directly at an Enderman that immediately killed me. What? Right. It's time to get wonky with it. Well, I suppose the first thing that I actually want to do is sort out this big bland piece of concrete here. I'm going to swap it out for... basically a similar, oh my goodness, am I going to die again? A similar sort of block palette to these silos here. I think that will look good. How is this feeling? Is this feeling good? We're just going to have sort of streaks of discoloration dotted around. Immediately cooler. Now that I'm looking, bone blocks are definitely brighter than mushroom blocks. But why does it... It kind of looks good on the silos, but it doesn't look good on this. Is it because we're going to like a more sandstone-y colour? Have I accidentally... Yeah. I think we're dealing with a hue shift here more than we are a shading shift, whereas this looks a bit odd. It does make me wonder if I should potentially try flipping the colours on the silos. I might give it a go potentially in the future. Yes, okay, much, much better. Okay, now it's time to adding some wonk into this thing. And here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking these two on the end, they have some kind of electrical element attached up here. So there's like a thing up here that looks like it would be providing electrical power, and then we have wires running down into the silos, and then we have nothing here. Maybe a gutter there. So we have a little gap underneath that would allow the water to run through, and then all of the guttering and things for the factory runs down this gap. Something like this work? Does that look cool? I mean, I think it will look a bit weird, but no, I think that actually does work. And then we can have some hoppers, that run down into... how do I want the guttering system to look? Part of me wonders if we do something like that. Does that look good? I mean, I don't want it to look wrong. I actually do think that sort of works, but maybe we could actually skip this step and just direct them straight out like this. And then I think just deep slate walls going straight down. I have absolutely no idea if what I'm doing right now is cool. I think something like this. And then maybe we have hoppers down at the bottom. Cauldrons. That actually does work. Yeah, that does look cool. I could actually run them into something that looks like the outflow of the water. So if we place these in like this and then cover up all of this, we could actually, have water running out of this thing. I don't know if that's good or not, but I kind of think it works. Obviously, once we do all the terraforming and things, then it will make a little bit more sense. Maybe we could draw more attention to it. But I would actually say... yes, this is a solid first step. Right, now I need to create this electrical thing. So I've got a bunch of looms, which tend to kind of look somewhat electrical. I don't know why. I think it's just this. They look like fan casings. Okay, I'll be the first to admit, we're off to a strange start, all right? But bear with me while I bear with myself. I'm losing faith personally. Yep, don't know how this is going to go, to be honest with you. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, mate. Oh, definitely not gone to plan there. Okay. Confidence rocked. It's fine. I think what I'm going to do, and this is bold, is I'm going to make it bigger, but like longer. So it's going to be something that kind of stretches along like this, and it's going to connect into both of these pipelines off to this edge here. I have spent far too long on this, but I think I'm now reaching a point where it looks cool. Something like this. How does this look? It doesn't look good, does it? I think this looks cool. I think it's this. I just don't think that's quite working, but there is hope. I think if I do something like this and then run the chain along super low so that we don't get that sort of awkwardness, and then maybe even run it into like a block, and then we can still have the grindstone, but maybe the grindstone goes out the front. I don't know. We could also have one out the back here. Maybe that works. I actually think it looks really cool. It's kind of a shame that we're not doing it on all of them, but I like the fact that it's only on a couple of them. I don't like the fact that I forgot to actually wax all of our trapdoors, so I'm going to have to do that. Very, very nice. I won't lie. I think this has gone well. I do feel like there needs to be something kind of big on this corner here. I don't know what. I do also think a little something, maybe even just a pipe. Just a little pipe going along down there on the deep slate, I think will balance everything out and also give some interest to this bottom section. Oh, and I've just remembered this side over here is going to have a bunch of the electrical stuff, so I imagine there'll be all sorts of bulky bits over here anyway, so I guess that's another problem for another day. In fact, at that point, everything was another problem for another day because I went to bed, and I have now woken up above my iron farm. Hopefully I have a decent amount so that I can use it for this build and also restock my shop. I am choosing to ignore all of the iron golems kicking around. Right, okay, this is good. I probably should have brought a shulker box with me. That would have been wise. The good news is I'm still feeling very happy about what we did yesterday, especially now that I've added all of these little extra pipes down at the bottom here. Again, they are obstructed 99% of the time, but they add a nice little visual detail that peeks out from behind the silos, and I think it looks great. I really need to axe those trapdoors. You know what? I'm going to stop putting it off. I'm doing it right now. This right here is personal growth. What? What? Oh yeah, this is because I always do it in my inventory. And even when I was building the laboratory, I broke all the copper blocks and then waxed them and then replaced them while complaining that I wished that I could right click on the copper blocks with honey. I don't know why, but I just had it in my head that you couldn't do it by right-clicking. You have to understand that 90% of my Minecraft knowledge is stored up in weird redstone gimmicks and edge cases and not the actual base mechanics of the game, apparently. So now everything is looking waxed and lovely. Let's head into the redstone testing world and build some gigantic signs. I was recently playing around with some logos and things for our Surplus Mega Corp, and this is the logo that we ended up with. We've got the plus, we've got the S, and this really beefy chunky font here is what I want to try and replicate in Minecraft. R's are always ridiculously hard because depending on the fonts, they'll have a diagonal. Oh, how is that? Is that all right? You know what? Considering I've never really made a Minecraft font before, this is pretty good. Like, I would say this resembles exactly what I wanted. I think one thing that I will do is I will probably shorten that L a little bit and squash those up a tiny bit more. Yeah, that is considerably better. Okay, I thought I would get all of the bottom text in as well. Of course, this needs to be centered up, but I feel like the ratios are good. And now that that's all centered, I thought I would also try building up the grid that would be holding all of these letters in place. So just like old factories, you know, they'd have this big metal grid that kind of surrounds all of the letters with lots of metal holding them in place. This looks a little bit insane from the back, but I think it works. The main view that I'm interested in is the one from the front, and that is absolutely bang on. That is so good. Okay, cool. Let's get this on the Hermitcraft server. Oh, but before we do, I've been playing around with block palettes. Oh, I don't know. I think I don't like the Dark Prismarine Mega Corp, but I do like the copper. Copper is good, and copper does... That will definitely contrast with the bricks that are going to be behind it better than this. I really don't want this to be lost in the bricks. So maybe a hybrid of them both. This down here, but then this up top. Also, I'm not 100% certain on the weathering and things. We can play around with it. Regardless of those details, now let's get it built on the Hermitcraft server. And as a full disclaimer, I'm using Lightmatica just to draft this out so I can get a feel for proportions. And my goodness, this is the coolest looking thing in the world. I 1000% think copper is the right move because it contrasts so beautifully with the bricks, but it also ties in nicely with all the stuff down on the bottom. Today is quite an expensive day. That is 2 diamond blocks. I would also like to report a violation. There is absolutely no ender chest in this store, even if it is eye-wateringly beautiful. I love the interior of this thing. And it's an interior I'm going to be seeing a lot more often because I grossly underestimated how much copper I needed. If you watched me in the previous Hermitcraft episode, I was laying out all the broad strokes, I was getting all the proportions worked out, and although I was really happy with those proportions, it is always so difficult to see if the vision is actually going to come together. And now that we've added this part, this element, in the space of an hour, it has gone from almost like a template to looking like a proper build. Like, it's gone from looking unfinished to pretty finished straight away. I can't believe how well it fits in. I can't believe how nicely proportioned it is with the rest of the build. I mean, it literally is like almost perfectly in line with the bricks. I didn't measure that. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Needless to say, I'm very, very happy. But there is still lots of work to do. Don't get me wrong, this gigantic sign does a wonderful job at covering up the blandness of the bricks back there. But I still think we should add some details into these brick sections. Oh yeah, I really need to do this. I'm sure this has been annoying everyone for the entire episode. A surprisingly somewhat reasonable price. Okay, yeah, that is much, much nicer to look at. Anyway, to the details on the bricks. First things first, let's get things started with the standard, which of course is the gutters made out of deep slate tiles. Put some hoppers on the top and they can make their way up this section of the brickwork. Even add a little grate onto it, and then I can also put some granite slabs up there as well. All right, that looks good. That looks interesting. I honestly don't think we should add too much else over there. Maybe a little something just on the bottom corner. One potential one is we could add some of this stuff just wrapping around. Yeah, not really feeling that. I almost think it needs to be quite big. Like, it almost needs to be an additional little module to the actual structure. If I just throw up a little granite block, how is that feeling? And then we can add details to the front of it. Maybe it's like a fan casing or something. You know what? You can't even really tell that it's there. So this makes me think, do I get rid of this and then add a gradient to our brick towers so that we switch out the top section of the bricks for granite? I kind of feel like we should. Or I feel like we should at least give it a try and see how it goes. This is a big commitment to trying. Okay, I think we've reached the granite zone now. I think I only want the top third really to be granite. So now I'm going to start adding in our little gradient wave. Now, I might try throwing in a little bit of granite on some of the corners and things, but otherwise it is going to be purely polished granite because I want it to maintain a similar texture to the bricks. Here comes the moment of truth. Was this worth the effort that I have put into it? I'm weirdly nervous about this. I mean, it doesn't really look that different, does it? Ooh, but I think it's better. Yeah, I mean, I've been staring at this for like 5 minutes now. I think, so I would say that the copper blocks and the granite blocks have similar textures. So there's like a little bit more visual noise there. But I think this side is just more interesting than this side. And I think the brick texture is also quite a busy texture. Whereas this simplifies things a little bit. When I look at it from down here, there's not much different. As I'm flying in, big difference. Much prefer the granite side. And I guess that will be the case when I view it from this angle as well. And in that sense, it's important. So I think, yeah, we should add in a granite gradient on this side too, which should now all be done. Very, very nice. Okay, this is looking good. Our factory is looking more and more like a factory by the minute. So let's keep adding the weird little details. I have a couple of ideas. One of them is a ladder, and that will make its way up the front face of this area here. This is a bit of an art to do. Now that it's actually on there, it's pretty bright, isn't it? Okay, I personally think that we should instead have bamboo acting as like cabling going down this side, and then that should probably be mangrove. Yeah, I think that will look better. So we'll have bamboo kind of pipes and wires going down like this over here, mangrove there. I like the design though. I think the design looks good. I think one thing that I will do also, I think I'll move it into this little indent as well. And there we go. A little bit of bamboo, a little bit of bamboo over here, mangrove ladder looking functional. This has come together so well. That is the most firm back pat I could give myself. I've back patted myself so hard that my face has hit my desk. Yeah, this looks awesome. This looks awesome. This looks awesome from all angles, really, apart from obviously the back or any form of side. Yeah, there it looks terrible, but anywhere within this sort of like 30-degree range here, fantastic. But what's that? We're not done. There's still more work to do. Yet these chimneys need to be finished. What I want to do in this episode is I want to get every element of the build detailed. And these chimneys right here are still looking suboptimal. Don't mind me just making sure that our ladder actually functions as a ladder. I mean, obviously it doesn't. I guess it could. No, it doesn't. But it looks like it could. And that's all we care about here. Chimneys, chimneys, chimneys. First things first, I am going to mess up the gradient a little bit because right now it is just separated into very clear notches. And that doesn't look amazing. My axe is almost broken. I sure hope I don't forget about that. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to create the impression of stainage. Stainage on the chimney. Let's have a look. Yes. Yes. I think yes. Yes, I think yes. Once things get covered a bit more. I think it's this one that's throwing me for a bit though. I think this one looks a bit weird. I did try to break up the segmentation a little bit, but honestly it looks strange. Okay, cool. That has worked well. Cool, that is the second chimney done. Yes, everything's looking good. But there's one extra structure that I want to add into this thing. So obviously we've got an access ladder there. But then I also want to have an access ladder running up to almost like a working platform up here with then access ladders that lead to the top of the chimneys. and the ladders are going to get progressively more and more sketchy. Okay, I think this is about where I want our workstation to be, maybe even a tiny bit lower. So our first ladder is like a regular access ladder. It's caged in. You wouldn't need a harness for it, I don't think. And I do want this copper to get to the point of weathering. This is a little bit too bright orange. Once it's weathered a little bit, it should match up more with these trapdoors, which hopefully should look like slightly rusty ladder rungs. Cool. Okay, this is looking nice. Now I'm going to get a whole bunch of these grates and place them all around our chimneys. So this is going to be our access point. And then importantly, we're also going to have a bridge connecting up the two chimneys. All right, let's take a look. Yes, okay. I think once we bulk things out a little bit, that will start to look better. One thing that I think it will massively benefit from it is some supports underneath. And I think, yeah, something like this could do well. So if we put those on all the corners, let's say, and then we can have actual struts going down to this part in the centers. I mean, this has been beefed up quite significantly. Is it looking any better? Yes. I'm hoping adding in the railing will make this make a little bit more sense. And I definitely think it does. And after a lot of fiddling, I think we have a bridge that kind of makes structural sense, right? Like we've got some tension here. We've got bits being held up. Honestly, don't know what these chains are doing down here. But if they feel good, I will say the act of actually walking across this feels like working at height on factory chimneys. Like, this feels like how I imagine that would feel like. And I'm also imagining that if you had one of those harnesses that has, like, the big clip, you could clip it into this top line. Maybe you'd have two clips, so you'd go across and then you clip it into this line, disconnect that one, and then continue walking across. I don't know. I'm just trying to picture how it would work in the real world. It does look cool, doesn't it? Oh, that looks super cool from down on the ground. So let's get the rest of this thing all constructed. Nice one. Cool. Ladders up to the top. So the first part of this process is cutting out a little gap, and I'm really curious how that looks. Ooh. Ooh, it looks pretty strong. Oh, yeah, that's way too noticeable. That is way too noticeable. I was going to put chains in the gap and have it be almost like one of those like iron bar style clip in, clip out ladders. But that is far too aggressive. Yeah, it looks messy. Okay, plan number 2. Part of me wonders, if I just put a bunch of chains going up like this, I know they're not necessarily connected to the wall, but I think from a distance it will look okay. Yes, 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 that actually works. That works so well. Yes, that's actually so good. I'm really proud of myself for thinking of that. So let's get this other ladder in, and now finally, the front of the factory is all completed, and I actually couldn't be happier. Like, this has just gone so well. This has been the most fun I have had playing Minecraft in ages. This has just been like pure creativity. It's just been the best. I've been thinking of things that exist in real life and then trying my best to put them into Minecraft, and it has been a blast. And I'm so proud of just how all of it has come together. A week ago, this build did not exist, and now it is here. It's very big. It's looking cool. I can't wait to get all the rest of the angles in. I can't wait to do all the terraforming out the front. Can't wait to merge it into this base somehow. Can't wait to add all the stuff out the side. Oof, this has been wicked. This has been so good. I really do hope that you have enjoyed these Hermitcraft episodes that I've been making, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!